Hey everyone, I just re-uploaded this video because the original version had... its sound was a bit messed up, I'm not sure why, so I had to record over it. Meaning you won't be able to hear the original sounds of the video. I hope that's not too much of an issue. It does have a nice soundtrack, which you would be missing out on. But I'll try to make a live recording in my next video. So this is Curse of Naxxramas. It is the first expansion pack and or content update for the game Hearthstone, which is the card game by Blizzard. And the way they're doing it is they've split it into 5 or 6 different parts basically, and they're going to be releasing a new part every week, which you will have to unlock using gold or pay for with real money. I'm not sure of the price yet, but the first one's free, so if you play Hearthstone you can just hop on and do the first part of it right now. And Hearthstone's free as well, so basically this is just free for anyone basically. So the way it works is there's 3 bosses. You have to beat the first boss to unlock the second, and then the second to unlock the third. And after all that, you're going to unlock something called challenges, and we'll get into that in the next video. So here's the first boss, and his hero power is to summon a 3/1 spiderling. So obviously that can get countered quite well by a mage. I went in with my druid. I didn't really know what to expect from this game mode, so I went with my standard druid, who is a force roar. He has lots of good early game control and late game burst. Just really balanced, and it seemed like the best way to go. So turn 1, played my Ancient Watcher, didn't really have any other plays, and I was hoping for a follow-up. My regular follow-ups for the Ancient Watcher are Keeper of the Grove or a Taunt. You can see there that he played a new card, which is a Gargoyle, and what that does is at the end of a turn it heals up. So no matter how much damage is taken, it will heal back up to full at the start of every turn. On its own that's not very impressive, but that can be buffed. You can increase its damage, or if you can increase its health pool and make it a taunt, that can be really annoying to get through, and you'll actually see that in one of my next matches. So just playing a regular control game here, trying to go for board control, nothing unusual. So you can obviously see the new board. You have these, it's a really warlockish, necromancery sort of theme that they're going for, and that's kind of obvious just by the name of it, Curse of Naxxramas. And they do have a lot of cards with death rattle, so they really are pushing for that theme, and I think they did a really good job of it. This the first wing, as they're calling the first part of the expansion, it really revolves around spiders, spiderlings. You can probably just tell that by looking at his board right now. I mean, he has 3 out of 4 of his creatures are spiders, so, and his passive power is a spider as well, and in fact he himself is more of a beetle actually. I wouldn't say he's a spider, he might be. Still just going for board control. You can see that he's putting down a lot of small creatures on the board, whereas I have 3 big creatures, one of whom is kind of useless. So the Ancient Watcher, I got unlucky, didn't get any follow-ups to him, but that's fine because the rest of my boards are quite powerful right now, and I'm not really sure what cards he has, what spells he has, so I'm trying to play it a bit safe, you know, keep board control, don't want to play too many minions at once, and want to deal damage to him when I get the chance. You can see I do have the Force of Nature and Savage Roar combination in my hand right now, and that's kind of the finisher of this build when I get to 9 mana. Currently at 8. And since he doesn't really have anything dangerous on the board anymore, just go for the face with all my minions. However, as I was saying, I didn't know what spells he had in his hand, or like what spells he has in his deck, because this was the first time I was doing this. And he did have a Shadow Flame, which cleared more than half my board. My Ancient Watcher is still useless, so I'm left with just one minion. I would have finished him off with the Force Roar combo here, but I went with Cenarius. I actually think I would have had lethal if I did use Force Roar combo, so it doesn't make a difference. He didn't really have a chance of winning unless he pulled out some completely new overpowered card, but he didn't, so that's the first game. Pretty easy. I guess any good control deck, possibly even freeze mages, would work quite well in this matchup. I don't know. Pretty much any balanced solid deck would be good. As for the second boss, which is Grand Widow Ferlina, I used a new deck for this. I made a deck specifically for this matchup. Her passive power, or her hero power, is that she deals 1 damage randomly for every card that you have in your hand. So it's kind of like magic missiles, but instead of doing 3 random damage, it's based on the cards you have on your hand. So you'll probably almost straight away figure out the theme of the deck I'm using. This deck can really be done with any class, to be honest. I just picked the Druid because I was more familiar with the Druid, and the Druid has a lot of buffs which fit well with the other cards in this. So basically I was going for an Enraged deck, and the reason is she doesn't have control over her passive power, over her hero power. So it can hit anyone, and as you can see in my hand, I have a Urabashi Berserker, and that guy can get hit multiple times, buffing him up to crazy levels. So just put a Panther down now for the heck of getting a creature out, and I'm gonna buff him and trade his 4/4, which gets me card draw. I don't really want card draw, but it's not a big deal. I had a bit of a lag spike there, but that's alright. The video isn't fast forward, so should have noticed it. So there's Rain of Fire again. I got kind of lucky there that my minion survived, but he killed it off with another card anyways. And it's turn 5 now. Throwing down my Urabashi Berserker. And I was hoping he'd use his power here to buff up my Berserker, but he didn't. Instead he put down 2 Worshippers, which gives him 2 attack, and he went for the face with that. And now I use Mark of the Wild and my Amani Berserker, giving me another enraged creature on the board, and I further buff them both. So at this point, I have this game like there's no chance of him really winning, especially not with his hero power, which just, this deck just completely destroys him. One of the mistakes one of my friends made actually was that he put Acolytes of Pain, and obviously he wasn't really thinking straight, because the Acolyte of Pain, while it gave him card draw, it increased the effectiveness of her hero power, because the more cards you get, the more it hits. So this is just the perfect counter to a deck, and you probably do have to change your deck before you go into this matchup. I'm pretty sure a good 70 to 80% of builds or decks aren't too good against that matchup. So here's the next one and the last one, and his power is Web Wrap or Web Warp, probably Wrap. And I made another deck for this, which is just a Rush Warlock. It's a pretty standard Rush Warlock. And the idea is you don't want to get any big creatures out, because his hero power could just send them back to your hand. So the more low cost creatures you have, the better off you are. And you just want to go straight for his face. This matchup was probably, it wasn't the easiest. The second one was definitely the easiest, but that's because I had a really good counter deck. If I hadn't built a counter deck, I would have probably struggled with that matchup. So, in general, I think this is the easiest boss. His power can be very, very easily countered with just a bunch of rush minions, and you're fine. As you can see, just for now, just kind of going for the face, trying to rush him down as much as I can. He has a lot of small creatures, but none of them are really a big deal. There he got a stone skin gargoyle. Again, that's an interesting card, but it won't help him unless he can buff it. So get a fairy dragon out, and I just shadow bolt that. Or I don't shadow bolt that, my bad. Got a void walker instead. And the void walker gets set back to my hand because of his hero power. And I don't mind that at all because it's just a 1 cost. And that's exactly what I mean. You want to get out a lot of low cost creatures that you can risk getting sent back to your hand. Got a knife juggler, and you can probably notice straight away that knife juggler is hilarious against the champion. And he just sent back my void walker again, which means that's a free proc from my knife juggler for 1 mana. And that's obviously what I'm going to do now. I get 2 procs, and lucky for me, both procs hit the shade. That was perfect for me. That guy could have snowballed quite hard, but I don't think he would have really got him to win. He sent back my Mani Berserker again. That's another 2 cost I can play next turn, which means more procs for my knife juggler. And funnily enough, I get a second knife juggler. So that's a shit ton of knives flying around everywhere. I can play my Yeti, that's another 2 knives. And I trade my Void Walker for his 5/1, and that sends his Gargoyle back to his hand. So I have a really strong board right now. Yeti, 2 knife jugglers, and he played the Sludge Butcher. That's a really interesting card. It's a taunt, and when it dies, it summons another taunt. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I was hoping one of my knives would hit him, so I could finish him off with the 4 damage, but neither of my knives hit him, unfortunately. So I did just end up using my Soulfire. Wasn't a big deal. I mean, I was in control the entire match. I wasn't really worried. So I lost my Leroy, and he got a second minion on the field, which I completely forgot about, and went for the face. So obviously I have way more than lethal damage right now, and I just rush him down. Easy victory. No problem at all. So as you can see, as long as you keep the passive in mind and build around it, you're fine. They're all quite easy, and hopefully I will release new videos for the challenges, and when the next wings get released next week, I will make videos covering all of them. So I will see you next time. Have a nice day, and you do get a nice legendary for completing those 3 bosses, so that's pretty cool. Alright guys, take care.